I'm staying on tax reform. I want to bring in Congressman Jim Renacci, who's on the Ways and Means Committee, and Congressman Mark Meadows, head of the Freedom Caucus. Congressman, I know you here. We're going to talk about opioids. Got that in just a second. But I want to talk about cutting taxes first of all. Seems like we're on the fast track at the moment, certainly through the House. You think we can get this through the Senate by Christmas?
Well, Stuart, I'd start first only by telling you I appreciate you having me back on with my friend Mark Meadows to talk about tax reform and opioids. It's one thing we have to get done. I know that Mark and I probably agree we need tax cuts. We probably would have already agreed that we don't even have to worry about paying for tax cuts. We need tax cuts, but it's good that we're able to put the package together. It's good to see the Senate's moving forward.
Just, Mark, hold on a second. Before we get to opioids, now, that's a very important subject, and I'm going to cover it for you. I'll guarantee that. But I want to know this. If the tax package goes through as is, do paychecks go up on January the 1st for those people who now pay federal income tax?
Well, they can. Obviously, you might have to change your deductions, but they should go up. And what we'll see is the average family maybe is close to as much as on that middle income is close to $200 more in their paycheck. And so that's a good thing. But I think the other point, Stuart, that you were talking about is about getting it done. We're going to go to conference. I think the Senate votes it out this week. We go to conference over the next couple of weeks. But I believe it'll be on the president's desk by December 21st and signed into law. So that should be good news for all Americans from coast to coast.
Now, I do want to talk about opioids and the opioid crisis because, to some degree, it's a very important issue. It's been swept aside by tax reform and the state of the economy. Jim Renacci, to you first. You've got a bill before Congress trying to deal with the opioid crisis. What are you doing? What's the solution, but how are you dealing with this?
Well, my friend from North Carolina and I are co-sponsoring a bill that actually pauses things. Put some reforms in when it comes to prescriptions. Let's face it, 80% of heroin addicts end up getting there starting with opioids. We got to make sure that the prescriptions, we have some kind of a standard that starts there, but also it does some other things. It starts to look at how we got here. Let's look at our policies that put us in this place, and then let's also look at policies going forward. Maybe the 7-day prescription is not the answer. It asks the FDA to start looking at other things that can be done. So it's a broad solution to a problem. Let's face it, Ohio, #1 state for opioid overdose and addiction.
Yeah, a terrible story. Mark Meadows, is there any provision in this legislation for paying for getting people off opioids?
You know, we haven't concentrated as much on that. Obviously, that is one component of the overall legislation that we're looking at. One of the things that Jim was talking about is that prescription for those first-time opioid users. We actually work with physicians. What we don't want to do is take their ability to prescribe out of their hands. We want to make sure that it's between a doctor and a patient. And yet, at the same time, using GAO, FDA, and maybe even going beyond to look at reimbursement for some other types of pain relievers that perhaps are not covered under Obamacare and Medicare and Medicaid. And so Jim has been very thoughtful in this. We know that we have to act now. It's not only the president that has put this as an epidemic, but it's our communities as well. And so I'm optimistic if we can move this through, it'll be a good first step in trying to address this crisis.
You know, a few months ago, we used to have you on the show when we were talking about Obamacare repeal, and there was never a smile. It was always, oh.
I'm smiling now on tax reform.
Precisely. Yeah. Welcome back, gentlemen. It's good to see you in a good mood. Jim Renacci, Mark Meadows, both of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Stuart.